So I'm John Parrish. I'm our precision agronomist with FarmersEdge, covering mostly western Nebraska, Grand Island area west mainly. Scott Speck is on as well, and he's our digital ag lead. Scott, I don't know what territory you cover, but I know it's all Nebraska and more than that. Any questions, we can get our contact information shared, and we can do what we can to help out if someone wants to use our tools or whatnot. So today we'll be covering our nitrogen manager tool. It's based for in-season nitrogen applications, really looking at trying to target around that V6 growth stage is kind of where we have the tool set, but it will work for other growth stages as well. And we can use it, we can use it consecutive times throughout the year. We just have to add those applications in. So really to find this tool, I guess we'll find this tool and then we'll go to the setup. So we need to go to farmcommand.com. I don't know the login for the TAPS program, but that'll be needed as well. Once you log in, you won't have as many icons here as I do, but there will be similar ones that you'll be seeing. You'll likely be brought to this home page or the dashboard, we call it. It'll be set up for the TAPS fields or TAPS program. We'll want to come down to the crop manager. Within this, you guys will be set, your grower will be set to Darren Rudnick TAPS Research, so you can select either one of those. Season, we'll want to check the season. We'll want to make sure we're on 2020. Currently, we've got crop managers for most of these. We'll want to select the corn one. I believe I've only got corn entered into the TAPS program, is why it's the only one showing up yellow. So we'll just click on the icon there, and it'll take us into the crop manager. Here we'll kind of see the NDVI value and a few other parameters, last image date that it pulled from. I already imported input a seeding date to test this tool, make sure everything was functioning prior to us getting on this call here, showing this demonstration. And it'll run through, like I said, some other stuff here. We will get some warnings over here, but that's can be resurrected or corrected later on. To get to the nitrogen manager tool, we'll actually click on the word nitrogen managed. It'll pop up another screen. I did get rid of the scenario I had in there, so we'll go through. I guess I did not get through or delete the scenario. To add another scenario, if it's not set up, we simply come up to this add button. It'll take a little bit to load. We have to select a subfield. This will only work on cornfields, so the sorghum is not available at the time. We will have 2 of them in there right now, what I have labeled. I do not have a soil test for the SDI that I know of. If I find one, I will input that in there. So we'll be looking at the TAPS pivot corn. You select whichever one highlights blue, the bold print does not, so you have to select the labels underneath that. That'll load up here. I'll get to where we input the seeding date, but I'll likely have that changed, so it should all fill in prior to this. Our units are in kilograms per hectare. We should be able to get that changed to bushel per acre, but that's where I have my settings at currently. We'll have to select a scenario. So this is something that I would set up prior to this end manager being ran. We had 2 programs we were using. We are using the RX Pro Zone one, so that has to be selected to get this to function. So you select that, yield target source. So it is the same in both. If we go field information, this will pull it from our asset data, and I'll transfer to that later. So if participant would want to change the yield goal, they could here, or we could as well within the end manager tool. So current crop and previous crop are important for mineralization and credits and whatnot. So we have both corn on corn. The variety, I'm not sure this is the variety they're using, but we have to have a variety selected to get this tool to work, since we use parameters from that hybrid to make the tool function. Your fertilizer type, you can change that within the program. I selected UAN just because that's what I had set up in the previous scenario. The fertilization date, pick the expected date that we're going to apply a fertilizer here. So say you wanted to apply something on the 27th of May. You just click that and it'll pop up. Residue, generally I just leave that at 35%. The population we can change to what the participants have done or are willing to do. Drainage type relates mainly to tiled. I do see they added ditches in here. Generally, on something like this, pivot irrigated or subsurface strip, we'd have no drainage. On our tillage type, I don't know exactly what the tillage is for that, but I believe it is no-till planted. Correct me if I am wrong. So we'll scroll down and find the planter no-till, and then likely planted at 2 inches. If that is different, that can be changed as well. And then you just hit submit and it should load it up. We might get an error since I already have this scenario in there. So we'll just have to check it out real quick. So yeah, it already exists, so it didn't load it up. If edits wanted to be done to a scenario that is in there, you just click the box on the left side of the field name and then come up to the pencil and then you can edit it. It's the same thing we ran through. You can change the hybrid and all that right here. To get into the nitrogen manager tool and actually use it, you come up to this icon that looks like the field, and view zone information is the title on it. So this here is our nitrogen manager tool. I ran this 2 days ago, I believe, and it looks to me like it's updating periodically. I would say about every day right now. So this is what we're looking at here. We got our target yield, so I put 250 bushel in. Once you run the simulation, it'll give you your recommended side dress rate in pounds of nitrogen per acre, not product, so that'll have to be remembered as well. It'll give you a predicted yield. It'll give you a yield discrepancy from your predicted to your target. It'll also tell you the V6 date. This is generally when we try to target with this tool, just the way it was built. So that's why that's important or showing up there. It'll also show our nitrogen losses to the date you want to fertilize and all the way up to the harvest date. Now that's using current weather and predicted weather. So that will change as well throughout the season. I do not know if it takes irrigation events into account. So that would be something to consider as well. Nitrogen gains come from our fertilizer sources, and then predicted applications such as the 65 pounds of nitrogen we're going to add, as well as mineralization. Nitrogen uptake is what we're predicting the plant is going to uptake throughout the season. I am not sure why it's a 0 on the fertilization date. I'll have to look into that. But by the end of harvest, it's predicting from applied fertilizer, it's going to take up about 165 pounds. And then we just got an estimate of soil nitrate that is within the soil. And I believe that is actually within a 0 to 12-inch soil, or it could be all the way up to 3 foot. What we're looking at down here is our applications. So this application labeled as 1 is what I have set up in the back side of our system, explaining, I guess, showing our base rate or our first application. I have set up 75 pounds right now. This application cannot be deleted or altered unless I do it on the back side. So to run this program, come up to the 2 arrows that are circling. It'll say run simulation. We got to pick a date. Previously, we set it at April or May 27th. Make sure that's in there. You hit run, and it might take a few seconds to cycle through it. And since it re-ran this morning, it's already saying 65 pounds, the same thing that it was previously before we ran, with the predicted yield of 251. I believe that did change though. Looking through it, everything else looks about the same. I guess the soil nitrates did increase. So if we wanted to say add that application, we could add that in by coming up to this icon that looks like I would say it's a fertilizer bag or a seed bag, and it'll say add application when you hover over it. It'll pull up another screen over here. It'll be an in-season application. It'll be a fertilizer. We can change the application placement. Currently, I have all of them set at 100% efficient. On the back end, I can change that if participant would want. The application custom in the notes are personal, more so personal information or something to identify it by. It will be labeled as application 2, but this can be extra information if we want it to be. The fertilizer, I'm going to stick with the same 32% nitrogen that we used in our first application. You have to click add fertilizer to get it to add in there. So this will actually create a prescription. If we had a zone map or something of that sort in here, it would be able to assign it to multiple zones. That is what's going on there. So you see our tank assignment is 100%. That should all autofill. Our depth is 2 inches. It's going to round it down for some reason. on this target NPKS, we have to fill out the pounds of nitrogen per acre that we want to apply. So with this tool, we would say 65 pounds. I believe if you hit the A, like I just did, it'll populate the value by itself. You could change that to whatever our participant would want per se. We're just gonna run with what the tool recommends, and we're gonna hit submit. It'll take a little bit to load. And we can see here we applied 65 pounds of nitrogen, and this is in a planned application right now, so it won't take into account in the scenario if I rerun it. The map tool up there, the icon that looks like the map, will actually take you to the field. It is color coordinated to distinguish if it needs nitrogen or if it doesn't. That's related more to a zone map. I will try to update this so we can kind of get a feel for that by adding a few zones in here or something of that sort. Green is no additional nitrogen. Yellow is we need to apply some. If not, we will have a yield impact. Red is we already have a yield impact for low nitrogen, but applying some more will preserve what we have. Purple is essentially we're too late. And then the gray is saying we haven't ran anything yet. Currently we're yellow because we need that 65 pounds of nitrogen, what the tool is calling for. Include chemigation in this so we can run this, and then once the date's passed and all that, we can rerun it and we can get that in there. And I'll show you if we add it in here, so you can have in-season application, fertilizer again, and then I believe applied in irrigation water is our chemigation option. That can be selected, and then that can be added in as well. With that, I'll kind of show you the asset manager, where some of this information is actually pulled from. So the asset manager will look like, it'll be one of these two icons. It'll say assets or it'll say fields. It'll take you to a screen like this. So these are the fields I have input already. The TAPS pivot corn is the one that we've had in the system the longest. We can actually classify all the hybrids here that are going to be planted in there. I just picked a common one from last year and put that in there. You see there is multiple. We can remove that and, like I said, actually add the rest, and they'll actually show up in that box there. We see we got our target yield at 250. Our seeding date I set yesterday to get the program to simulate or run. I set our seeding depth to 2 inch, our row spacing at 30, our population to 32. And since I didn't have a plant population yet, I just ran it at 32 as well. To edit this, you select the box on the left side, you come up to the pencil at the top and you go to edits. It'll bring up another screen. So really anything up top, we're not really worried about changing. We'll look mainly at the crops here and below. So we'll focus mainly on the yield target. If we want to change that, like I said, we can change it here to whatever it might be. Here we can select hybrids. We have a lot of them in our system, but probably not all of them. So if a hybrid is needed to be added, let Scott or I know, or myself, and we can get that added. Here's where we set the seeding date. You can click the calendar. Chuck, you told me that the seeding date for one of the fields at the university was going to be the 24th. So you simply just select that. You can change your seeding depth. You can change your seeding rates. We need to pay attention to the units. As we update our system, sometimes those get changed, and we can change those back relatively easy. There's 3 dots on the right side there. So we're going to put it in seeds per acre and go done. And then make sure we're on count instead of weight at the bottom. If we wanted to add a seed weight, we could. Row spacing I set at 30 inches, and the population I have at 32,000. So this field is irrigated. Tillage type, like I said, I assume it's 0 or minimum, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the rest of the options should stay relatively consistent. And then you just click save at the bottom, and that'll update the assets there, and then it should pull across over into Nitrogen Manager. That covers the tool pretty much. To reach me by phone, I'm at 402-853-2794, and then my email is john.parish@farmersedge.ca.